मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे नहीं चलाता। आई एम ऑन इंस्टाग्राम बट मैं चलाता नहीं उसको। और यूट्यूब पे भी आई स्पेंड सम टाइम आई वुड से, नॉट दैट मच। और लाइक जब यार काम देते हैं, ठीक है, जब तुम जानबूझ के वैसे सिचुएशन में जाते हो तो तुमको करना ही पड़ेगा। मतलब नहीं करोगे तो निकाल देंगे ऑफ कोर्स। तो
Scored pretty good there as well. Then, as every other engineer, I decided to give IIT JEE, which was pretty disastrous. I scored 27 percentile there. My family was in pretty shock. Then I thought it's time to buckle up and work hard. So
Welcome back to Entrance and Beyond. This is a hackathon episode. To introduce my guest today, I have Nishant Dixit from Mumbai with me today. And to talk a bit about his achievements, he's won 5 hackathons thus far. And he was top 100 teams globally in the Google Solution Challenge. He has won the Rajasthan Police Hackathon, and we've already done a podcast regarding that initially with Piyusha Patil. You can check that out. I'll add the link. He's been a runner up in a couple of hackathons, and he's also been the winner of the Google Gen AI Hackathon in 2024. Apart from that, he has a rank of top 2% globally on Unstop platform, and he's also decent with DSA. So he's done like 300 plus problems on various platforms. Currently, he's an intern at a startup, and he's already done an internship at a startup before. So thank you so much, Nishant, for coming to my podcast. So could you please tell the audience a bit about yourself?
thank you first of all for having me. And I guess you summed up pretty much about me. I don't know what else to say. But I guess I can say something that you have not mentioned. I'm currently in my final year at a tier 3 college in Navi Mumbai. And I have participated in many hackathons. The ones which had good outcomes, Parima mentioned, but not every hackathon had good outcomes. So I participated in almost 10 plus hackathons, and fortunately, I won few of them. Apart from them, I have built many projects, worked at few startups. I guess. Yep.
Okay. So, as a student, how are you? Like before JEE, MHCT, before entering college, like how are things at home? How are you as a student?
I was like a decent student. I won't say I was like a top-notch student who used to study every day. Uh, I was like occasions. I got almost 82% in 10th, I guess, and in 12th, fortunately, we had uh, online colleges, so I scored pretty good there as well. Then, as every other engineer, I decided to give IIT JEE, which was pretty disastrous. I scored 27 percentile there. My family was in pretty shock. Uh, then I thought it's time to buckle up and work hard. So I gave MSTCT, in which I scored a decent score, about 93, 92 percentile. Uh, Landed a good college, although it is a tier 3 college, but it is definitely a good college if you are looking forward for extracurricular activities. Also, the college name is Pillai College, located in Panvel, if you have any idea about that. So yeah, that sums up, I guess.
Okay. So it was actually good to hear that because a lot of people are depressed after failing JEE and all that. They feel like we can't do anything. And this has been the underlying theme in our
uh,
whole podcast, where people didn't score too well before 12th. And then after 12th, they got like a reality check and then they sort of buckled up, as you mentioned, and did better. And I'll attach some links here as well. With the previous podcast, we also had similar guest. So, how did your coding journey begin? Because as you mentioned, you had that idea that I have to buckle up now because I haven't done too well in the entrance exam. Then I have to do something good in these 4 years, or else I'll be stuck in sort of a bad place, which I wouldn't really want to be stuck in. So, how did you begin your coding journey, and how did like things evolve over the 4 years of college?
uh, Actually, I started coding in my 11th itself. And the funny thing is, I started computer science because I wanted a good gaming laptop so that I can have a reason to tell my parents that I want a good laptop, right? So that's how I got into coding. In 11th, I started with C, C++. Fortunately, I was like good at it, I would say. Uh, it's not like how can I tell about myself, but I think I was good at it. I used to perform well in labs and stuff. And after that, I when went to decided to go pursue engineering as my career. I had decided that I had to go with computer science. So in the first year is something I would say I got a bit serious because I know that the college is not that great for placements, but they were very supportive for extracurricular stuff. So that's when I started my coding journey. I started with, as every coder, I started with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then went with PHP. I did PHP for some time, then went with Django, then I started with JavaScript, then I went into backend, then I started with React.js, and now like I'm doing something related to TypeScript and Golang. Yeah, so that's how it went.
Okay. So early on, like, did you start using these platforms and all, like lead code and all, or were you more focused on like developing things once you understood the language?
Yep. So I started with development at the start because that's something I was intrigued with. But I also like picked up the DSA because a lot of seniors and lot of bhaiyas and didis on YouTube used to say that DSA is something that you need to crack bank companies and stuff. And at that time, I had no idea that startup and other things will be lining up in the coming future. I would say no one had that idea. But once I started, I also pursued an DSA for I guess 2 to 3 years. Uh, I did decent amount of questions. I would say if you sum up all the questions or problems that are solved on various platforms, including HackerRank and Code Forces, it would be something around 300 to 400 questions. Uh, I'm like okay with the basics, but not that far with binary trees and stuff, right? So I guess it's better to have a balance between development and DSA, according to me. Uh, but yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. And I think development can help you with startups. And if you're good at both, I think you can apply in any company. So there's no sort of restriction as to whether you join Pang and or
Yep.
you join startup. Okay, so when did hackathons come into your life? So before going into all that, I want to talk about what is a hackathon because people enter first year, they heard of it. Like in IITs, there's 24-hour contest. That is what we heard like 10 years ago. I had even heard for the first time when I heard a hackathon
Yeah, yeah.
like 10 years back. Ki IIT Madras has this 24-hour coding thing, and like it's a big word for people entering. So what is a hackathon? Before we like go into all those details, what is a hackathon?
Yeah, so on like layman terms, it's basically like you have to make something under 24 hours or under given time constraint, and it should be an MVP, like a minimum viable product which you can show to others, which can be used. And yeah, so I guess that's it. Like you have timeline to make a project under 1 month or under a year, to say so. But hackathon is basically like if you like constrain the time to something, and you have to make a project in that time. That's basically a hackathon.
Okay. So, what was your experience in your first hackathon, and what is something you learned from like the first hackathon? Because a lot of people are beginners and they're really scared to go into hackathon. So, could you shed some light on your first experience and what sort of learnings did you take out from
Yeah.
it?
So I started from an online hackathon. It was I don't remember the college, but a college conducted it. It was like 16 hours hackathon, which happened on Discord. Funny thing, but yeah, it happened on Discord. So we had to make. I don't even remember what we had to make. Me and my friends just decided to participate in it. There was like three of us, and we had no idea what was going on. We completely messed it up. We don't even know what we made at that time. We just filled the form, and there was like it was a slap on our face. Like, what are we even doing? Why are we even here? As soon as the hackathon finished, we just left the server and disappeared. So that's how was my first experience. Uh, it was along with a friend of mine where we studied together in the 12th. And after that, I guess I thought it's time to get serious, right? So I participated in another online hackathon, which was from our college itself, and we also failed there miserably. So that's also one thing. Now, after that, I guess a turning point came when we participated in Solution Challenge 2023, right?
Yeah.
So, fortunately, we were top 100 over there. I will elaborate on it, how we won and the stuff. After Solution Challenge, we picked some momentum. It was like two of my friends from my college, Varada and Suvan. And after that, I decided it's time to get someone who is like closer to me, who knows development and stuff more, who are also a balanced team for hackathon, right? So I
Yeah.
decided to search in my classroom and other places. So luckily and fortunately, I found some good people. Then we participated in multiple hackathons. I don't even remember how many of them we participated in, but I guess the best part was the Rajasthan Hackathon, which happened previous year in January. We got free travel. Our college totally sponsored our hotel stay and travel. Right, we won that hackathon as well. We got to like roam around in Rajasthan, which was free trip. And who like doesn't like a free trip, right? So, and also by God's grace, I also got an internship at that time as well. So 2024 was like a year of blast for me. It was very very good. And after Rajasthan Police Hackathon, we participated in Bhashini Sprint. Bhashini Sprint was for startups at start. Most of the startups participated in it, but me and my friends also participated in it. And we had to create a company for it. And we still have that company open. So we also fortunately were runner-ups in that. There were only two winners, and we were the second runner-ups in that, basically second. So after that, we also participated in Solution Challenge again, but this time we couldn't get a desired output. But then we participated in Google GenAI Challenge, which is pretty new. I think most of you guys may be aware of it. And then we had a free trip to Delhi, Gurgaon, which was also sponsored by Google. It was first flight experience for me. I got my first flight from Google itself, and also my first. I guess the hotel was 4 star. We also had to stay in a 4 star hotel along with my friends. So, as exciting as it sounds, it was pretty great experience. So, and after that, we thought like it's time to get serious and start looking for internships at that time. I had left my previous startup where I was working at. So, and thankfully, due to the achievements that I gained in this hackathons, I got an internship opportunity at a startup where I'm currently working. It is a pretty great startup, and I'm learning new things every day. So, I guess the hackathon wins were worth it. So, that's a pretty long story, but I guess that sums it up.
Yeah, you did a good job summarizing it. And the good thing about hackathons is you get free travel. So if you haven't traveled India, it's a good way to travel India. But just joking, jokes apart, what we can learn is that he initially didn't do too well. He said he did miserably bad in the first two hackathons, and once he started winning, he got some momentum and he understood how things are apart from the travel and things like that. So I think you have burst the myth, like because you said that in the first hackathon you didn't have any idea ki what you are doing.
Yep,
So I think that basically busts the myth that
yep,
you
yep,
be an experienced person to like enter hackathons, because you'll never be experienced enough to like enter hackathons. If that is your mentality, you'll have to wait 4 years. And then after that, you can jump into this. I wanted to talk about now the Gen AI hackathon because that is something interesting. As much as I know, it was related to using Gemini's APIs, right, to build a product. So if you can talk about Gen AI hackathon and what sort of product you built and what sort of tech stack you use, because AI is something that's really trending and a lot of people don't have a lot of idea as to how they can leverage AI into their normal projects.
yep, sure. So, like I already had a team, so that eliminated most of my time to searching for a good team. So I had a good team, right? Now, the main thing which I would say is like pretty important in every hackathon that you participate is your idea, right? And fortunately, they had a problem statement for us, so that also eliminates a lot of time, right? Now that comes the next step, which I guess is planning and execution. The planning stage is very, very critical. Please, if you are participating in any hackathon, give a lot of time in planning. Planning. We had a teammate of mine. Like we are to name the team which I was participating with was me, Nishant, Rachit, Om, Sahil, and Shreyash. The Shreyash was the guy who used to do the most of the planning stuff and getting lot of features extracted, right? And we all of us were most of the coding guys, right? So planning and making an architecture for the project which you are going to make is pretty important. Now about the GENAI Hackathon, the problem statement which we had was related to mental health. It was for mental health of students. So we had to do a lot of research on it because first of all, using AI for mental health is
Yeah,
not an easy task, and also it is somewhat controversial, I would say, right? If like it is not good enough, it might create issues, right? And also mental health is something which is very like a soft topic for someone, and if any error occurs, it might be very dangerous, right?
yeah,
So we started with deciding what we have to make, what needs to be laid out for all our planning and stuff. So also the API was available to us, Gemini API. So we fine tuned it with the help of a data set. One of my friend did it, one of my teammates, Sahil, and then we made the backend for it. We went with Flutter for development of the app, and we had a Python server for getting all the responses of the chat and history and stuff. So it was basically a chat application for students where they can interact and chat with the AI bot assistant. It also had CBT therapy. You can Google it out. It was related to mental health and stuff. We also had various daily reminders and other stuff, right? So I guess we did a pretty good job at it. And another thing which I think was pretty and also matters in a lot of hackathon is presentation. The most critical part, I would say, apart from planning and execution, is presentation. You need to have a good presenter in your team. Your video, which you'll be providing them, should be very good. It should be exceptional, I would say. And also the readmes, which you create for your project, should be pretty well maintained. It should be pretty well documented. Even if let's say a product manager maybe who doesn't know not about coding and stuff, if even if he goes to the readme, he should understand what you are using, how it is affecting, and how it is like compared to other products in the market, right?
okay.
So yeah, that was then. Yeah,
Okay, and you know what? I can actually share my screen and show his project, his portfolio.
yeah, yeah.
Visible, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So look at this, guys. So this is basically Nishant's profile. This is basically his portfolio. So his art, resume, GitHub, and all that. And his projects.
Mm.
Yeah. So these are some of his hackathons that we mentioned. And your project, where did it? Yeah, right here. So the project that you're talking about, this is the project, right? Gen Z Way to Mental Health. So you have
Mm.
deployed the project,
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
This is just a website, a landing page which we made because we wanted like reach, right? We wanted to show that we were serious about this, right?
Okay.
So doing extra stuff was also important. This was pretty easy to make. We have made landing pages for many sites, so we just like tweaked some of the parts and added this.
Yeah. So these are like the features that he mentioned, like real time chat, meditation,
Yep.
and then he's also given some resources. And yeah, they've also added some Gen Z sort of features. So the chatbot was yeah, CBT test that he was talking about right over here. So this is the basic website that they made for people that are curious. And we can also look at his other projects. You can check this out. I'll add the link to this portfolio. You can take your time and easily check out all the projects that he has done. Yeah. Now coming back to the podcast. So now we've discussed the Gen AI hackathon. So basically your chatbot was powered by AI, as you mentioned, they use a data set. And apart from that, the learnings that he said is
Uh,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. So we had to first of all get a pretty good data set because getting a data set for chatting related to mental health was pretty tough for us. Actually, uh, some of the chats were mostly the data set which we found on Kaggle was not that pretty good, I would say. But fortunately, Sahil found a better way to get the data set, and I guess there were very less rows in the data set. There was, I guess, about 200 or 150 rows. That's it. And he trained AI on that using Vertex AI, the Google dashboard, right?
Yeah.
So he trained over that, and I guess the result was phenomenal. It worked pretty well. It hallucinated a lot less than it was doing previously, right?
Yeah.
So, yep, I guess that's it.
Okay. And apart from that, the insights that you can get is that planning is really important, because I've personally seen a lot of people, they just skip it. They're like, okay, it's a random plan. How does it matter? We'll just go on building the product. And that can really hamper stuff, because if you don't have a proper plan at the end, you'll see that there's this issue that's arising, and then you'll have to change the entire structure. You don't want to do that. And then execution, everyone knows you have to make the project. So that's definitely a main part. And the presentation and speaking is also important, because you have to show the product to the end user. If you're not able to market your product or explain to the end user what your product's doing, I don't think there's any use of making the product, no matter how good your product is. So that is something important. So now let's talk about Google Solutions Challenge, because that is the hot topic right now. So what is Google Solution Challenge? If you can break that down, then yeah, share your experience in detail about how you managed getting a top 100. Yeah, you managed entering the top 100.
Yep. So, Google Solution Challenge is like partially a hackathon, or students can participate in it. They had problem statements, like problem domains, I would say, not problem statements. So, to basically summarize it, Google is like hosting a hackathon. It has 17 UN national goals which it needs to like target, right? So they invite students and working professionals or any other people who can come and make some good projects related to that domains, and they can like pitch it to Google themselves. And if they think that the project is worthwhile, they will then come to they will then come to top 100. After that, top 100 or top 10 is decided, and after that, top 10, top 3 is decided. That's how basically it happens.
Okay. Okay, so how was your experience, and what is some tip you'd want to give? So we can, I think, start off with team formation, right? Because again, it's a team hackathon, and it's important to select the right team. So how should one go about selecting a good team, and how did you like it? Was it the same group, GENAI thing, or was it some other group this time?
Nope. Actually, this was way at the start, right? When we started,
Yeah,
it was in 2023. So, first of all, I would say pick a good team. Pick a really good team which you think that can work well. You need to have someone who is like good at doing extra stuff, like making PPTs, videos, writing out readmes, making presentations and stuff. It's not like everybody should be good at coding, right? So you need to have extra people as well. You can have a one person for that, and I guess 2 to 3 developers who are like good at something, maybe a full stack developer first, then a back end developer, then a front end developer, or anything works. Totally depends on your project, right? But a team is like the major pillars, I would say, for your hackathon or for your winning stuff, right? So I guess that matters a lot.
okay. So it's also important to have someone that is good at presentation and PPTs, because we also miss that out sometimes. We're solely focusing
Yep,
on.
yep.
So, what are your learnings from I don't know? Could you maybe talk a bit about more about your experience? Like, how did you end up in the top 100, and what sort of helped you? Like, looking back at it, do you think some particular thing really helped your team enter top 100, from which other people can really learn and also secure a good rank?
Yep. So first of all, project an idea. That's the main thing. If you don't have a good idea, I don't think that will help you in the long run, right? You need to have a good idea and also like a decent project over that, right? So fortunately, one of my teammates had a good idea. They actually worked at that previously, right? But the project was not that good at that time, so we decided to restart the project and make it good, right?
Yeah.
So at that time itself, I started to learn React.js, and Firebase. I would say the solution challenge was the major project which I undertook in my life, right? At the start. So I didn't knew what was React.js, what was Firebase at that time. I got to know about them at that time, right? So our project was mainly related to hunger. It was like there are various events in the countries, right? Like weddings and parties and stuff where food is getting wasted. So we created a platform where the event managers or like companies can send the food to NGOs and retreat centers who can like have their food to like other people who are in need. So we made a website for that, and fortunately, we also created a good video and a good PPT along with good README and good presentation. Code structure was okay, but the presentation and idea was pretty good, I would say. So we got into top 100, fortunately. But then one thing which bothered us was we didn't have an app for that. And I think that was a major downside for us. So first of all, if you have an idea which you think will work pretty great, then I would say that understand which particular user sector are you focusing on, because not every event manager will go to your site in between some stuff, right? It's better to have an app. So that's something which we lack, and I think that cost us to not be landed in top 100, or sorry, top 10.
Yeah,
Uh, but everything is learning, right?
yeah, that's true. Everything is definitely a learning. And as you mentioned, you're new with React, so like you learned it. So it's not like you have to know all the tech stacks before actually entering the hackathon.
Yeah, yeah,
You can definitely learn from it that try to have a solution that is viable or reachable to everyone. You shouldn't have a solution like where it's not reachable to everyone, and they'd probably give a judgment based on that as well, based on how much people you can reach out to. And even with Blinkit and all that, I think Blinkit or Zomato, yeah, Zomato has also worked on that. They recently launched a feature similar to what he had mentioned, so that is something important. So yeah, now after all you're done with all your hackathons and all that, I want to talk about mentality because hackathon is a 24-hour game once you're actually developing the product, and you have to have a lot of patience. I would feel it's sort of like a sport or it's sort of like a test match where you have to persevere throughout the entire 5 days or whatever over here 24 hours. So is there some mentality tip that you feel that if you brought to a hackathon that you'd be able to bring the best out of you? Was there something that you had or people should do when they start their hackathon that could really help them bring the best out of them during the 24 hours?
yeah. I guess the thing which I would say, which I you didn't used to tell my teammates as well, but I think every time you enter a hackathon, just think that you are there to win, right? This is the first and foremost thing which you should keep in mind, that you are there to win, right? And after the first win that you get in a hackathon, I would say it gets buttery smooth to win any other hackathons after that, because you get an idea about how things will happen and what ways do they judge you, your project, and your presentation, right? So the first win, I guess, is the pivotal point. After the first win, I guess most of the surface gets smooth for you to roll up and win. So the first thing which you should keep in mind is, I am here to win, right? You are here to win. If you have participated in it, you are here to win. Because I remember like in Rajasthan hackathon, I guess like for a week we only slept about for 24 hours, like only a single day or something like 18 hours, and most of the night we were like working on a project, working on something, and that has happened a lot of time. Even in the GENAI project that we made was literally made in 3 days. So in the 3 days, I guess totally we have slept off about 8 hours or something. So you should be ready to risk it all. Sounds very cheesy, but that's the only way you can win. You should be ready to risk it all, ready to give your sleep, ready to give your food and stuff, but the end result will be worth it. So I would guess that would say,
Yeah, so you might need some sort of sting energy, or you might need a coffee pack with you the entire time.
yeah,
And one thing good I noticed about you said something that was really similar to the late Shane one because I was hearing this podcast with Shane Watson where he mentioned is that getting your first wicket is hard, But once you get the knack of it, once you get like a ball to turn a lot and get a really good wicket, after that it's just about repeating it, because then you have the confidence ki I've won it before. So that is something important, and you, like you sort of said, like Vivian Richard also used to say, "Yeah, I'm the man because I'm out there to win." You can't be in the thought ki like I'm not there to win, because if you even when you think you're gonna win, you can lose. But if you don't have any thought that I can win, then you're definitely going to lose, and you can't really get ahead with that. So that was a good insight. So Nishant, I want to talk about now your startup experience, because we've talked about Google's hackathon as well. And is there anything you missed out maybe in Google's hackathon? So basically, it's you can check out the steps on their platform, because that is something that changes year to year, right? So you can check that out. But apart from that, is there anything you feel you missed out or you want to tell?
Uh, the only thing I would say is in Google Solution Challenge, once you like cross a like minimum step like getting in top 100 or regional boot camps, you get pretty good mentors, really good mentors. I would say I had Ishant sir. Ishant sir was a really great mentor. I am even in contact with him right now till this date. So I guess the mentors you get are really great. So that's something also you should keep an eye out for Solution Challenge.
Sam, now that we were talking about the Google Solution Challenge, so in Google Solution Challenge, do you get access to some of the resources of Google products, and should you leverage different Google products out there in the market in your projects while you're, yeah.
Well, actually, like first of all, you should leverage them. It's like it matters, I guess, because they have also mentioned that they will be providing you like few resources and few credits if you use Google products, right? So like we were using Google Maps, so they provided us some credits of Google Maps and Google API keys, right? So I
Okay.
guess that matters also. If you use them, I guess it will be a plus point. So I would suggest that to use them as far as like it goes according to your project, right? Like we were working on an app, so we went with Flutter and also Google Maps in the Google Solutions 2024.
Okay. So I want to talk about tech stack, because, like you mentioned, you are new with React. So how should one develop or learn new tech stacks really quickly and in depth? Because you always have to keep on updating your tech stack, right? Because now there's a lot of ways in which you can integrate Olama, you can learn vector database and all those topics as well. And in general, if you want to learn some new tech, so how should one go about learning new tech, specifically like maybe you can talk about web development, how one can evolve from like HTML, CSS, so on and so forth. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say पहले तो projects बनाओ. Like projects are very important. At least if you have a strong project, तुम like you will get an idea about how things work, कैसे बनाते हैं, etc. So first of all, you should be like you should have created at least a two or three projects, basic projects, and after that you should jump to like critical projects or major projects जिसमें back end भी हो, front end भी हो. uh, आजकल तो एआई भी चल रहा है, तो बेटर इफ यू हैव अ बिट ऑफ एआई इन दैट एज वेल. ज्यादा नहीं एपीआई कॉल करो चैट जीपीटी को या फिर जेमिनाई को, दैट आल्सो वर्क्स, राइट? सो once you like get idea about how things are working or how functions are called or how architecture should be, how folder structure should be, and also a great plus point if you check out open source projects and navigate to them. उनको locally set up करना सीखो. Open source also like was a really like stepping stone for me in my journey. So open source to be contribute करो थोड़ा बहुत locally set up करना सीखो. So once that happens, you get an idea about how things are working. उसके बाद language is not a barrier for you because you understand कि इसका पर्पस ये है, इसका पर्पस ये है, ऐसा a vivid idea you get. And about the learning a language, I would say everyone starts with C, C++, right? But I think that's good for loops and other stuff, right? At least you get basics of programming, right? After that, you should go with frameworks like React, JS, वगैरह. Most of the guys start with front end as a primary
Yeah.
domain, right?
Yeah.
So front end, you can go with React JS. You can learn about UI. you should definitely learn about basics of JavaScript or hosting and stuff वगैरह.
Yeah.
उससे you get good idea about how things are working under the hood. And definitely, like if you are looking for a long and great career, you should target backend. I love backend. I I love working on backend. So backend helps you understand how things are working. I guess सिस्टम डिजाइन के बारे में तुमको आइडिया होगा. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी नाउ, बट थोड़ा बहुत उससे भी सीख सकते हो तुम. So yeah, once you enter the field of coding, I think after 1 or 2 years, no language is like unknown for you. You understand how things are working, right?
Yeah.
So I would say just start and just work.
Okay. Yeah, and like again, you think reinforce your basics first because no one becomes a Sam Altman or you can't really become Elon Musk on day one.
Correct, correct,
People feel like they like
correct.
boring lecture. They're like, "What is this? We were supposed to build some random AI bot, or we're going to build a Jarvis." But that's not how things actually work out. You have to get a idea of how things actually work. And I want to talk about GPT a bit. Like, how much did you use that as a learning resource? Because I think you should use that in a limited way. Because like, if it's doing everything, you're not learning anything. That is something that's gonna happen. And if yeah, like
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
what
I
on that?
will tell you an interesting story, right? So, I did not use ChatGPT at the start. I used to make projects by banging my head to the wall, searching on Google and trying myself, right? So बहुत हेडेक होता था, लेकिन स्टार्टिंग में तुमको सहना पड़ेगा, सीखना पड़ेगा. दैट्स द ओनली वे. उस टाइम पे तो, अभी तो है फिर भी ChatGPT. So when I started my first internship, I used to use Copilot, right?
Yeah,
On VS Code, if you guys have any idea. तो उस टाइम पे मेरे मेंटर थे विकास भैया. तो एक दिन मैं स्क्रीन शेयर कर रहा था एंड दे सेड पहले तो इसको डिसेबल करो पहले. मैं बोला क्या हो गया भैया? बोलते इससे तुम आगे कभी सीख नहीं पाओगे, इस पे ही निर्भर रह जाओगे एंड यू विल नॉट मेक एनी प्रोग्रेस. तो उसके बाद once I shut down Copilot, I used to struggle a lot. But after, I guess, I would say, fortunately, due to my previous practice, after 2 3 weeks, I picked up the code base और सीखने मिला. I got used to it, and fortunately, I got good at it. So I would say at the start, use it to your advantage to learn stuff, but don't use it as like a senior developer for you.
yeah,
उसको वैसे मत यूज करो, उसको एज अ जूनियर डेवलपर यूज करो. उससे कोड सीखो, उससे जैसे मजदूरी वाला काम करवाओ.
yeah,
उसको बोलो कि मुझे पता है इसमें क्या करना है, तुम ये करके दो. अगर ऐसी बात है तो ठीक है. मतलब तुमको पता नहीं क्या करना है, तुम उसको दे रहे हो, वो एक पॉइंट तक ठीक है जब डेडलाइन हो. लेकिन अगर तुम्हारे पास टाइम है, तुम्हारे पास सीखने का टाइम है, देन डोंट गो दैट वे.
yeah.
Try to learn and stuff. So use it as a junior, not your senior, if you are at the start.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about an interesting analogy. Like it's like talking about noodles, right? People before used to like cook the noodles and then do all stuff like that. And then ChatGPT is like your instant Maggie, where you don't know what's happening, you don't know the ingredients, you don't know anything. You just boil it and then it's like you're done in 2 minutes. But the taste and satisfaction is definitely not there. And like you said, use it as a junior. Don't use it as a senior, or else like people mention that like people are stuck on Instagram and scrolling right now, while the robots are actually the ones that are studying. So it shouldn't be the reverse way around, because the robot will then be better than you, and then you'll probably cry in the future that I've been
Why?
really want to do that.
Then probably you will be replaced, right?
Yeah. So like utilize it to a limit, as long as you know ki, like what's happening. And I think you can learn
Yep,
more.
yep, correct.
If you're too much dependent on it, you yourself don't have some sort of logic. You just know like an overview. Ki, this is what happened. That is what happened.
Mhm.
So Nishant, you're in startups. You worked in a couple of startups as interns, as an intern. So what are your learnings from the startup environment? Because as much as I know, startups are really fast paced. So you're like really learning a lot of things on the go. So yeah, what's your learning so far from like the couple of months you spent in startups? And what are the pros and cons for the people
Uh,
interested in comparing companies with startups?
Look, for me, everything is a pro for me, but I think uh, there are some people who want work life
Yeah.
balance and other stuff, right? So I'm not that guy. uh, I like to work क्योंकि मैं अभी फॉर्चुनेटली यंग हूँ, भले ही दिखूँ ना लेकिन यंग हूँ मैं। So I love to look out for things, look for things and work on things which I do not know, right? उसको सीखने में बहुत मजा आता है। So आई वुड से जित अभी तक मैंने जितना काम किया है स्टार्टअप्स में, आई वुड से टोटली अबाउट 8 मंथ्स हो गए, 6 मंथ्स फॉर द प्रीवियस वन एंड 2 मंथ्स ऑन दिस। उसमें से ऑलमोस्ट 60-70% टाइम मैं रात तक काम किया हूँ। लाइक आई वुड से अबाउट 11 या फिर 10, या फिर कभी-कभी तो 2-3 ऐसे जागते थे। और पिछले कंपनी में तो हमारे जो सीटीओ थे शुभम सर, उनके साथ तक मैं 2-2 3-3 बजे तक जागा था। uh, हम लोग का कोड फटते थे, we used to resolve that, right? So that's a story. So if you are looking for startup, you should be ready to work pretty hard. Also work very smart. The environment is actually very fast paced, as you mentioned, and also you should be a quick learner. तुमको कुछ भी दिया जा सकता है, कुछ भी दिया जा सकता है। मैं बैकएंड से लेके वेब स्क्रैपिंग से लेके बटन का कलर चेंज करने से लेके डॉक्यूमेंटेशन करने तक सब किया है मैंने। सो यू शुड बी रेडी टू डू एनीथिंग। और तुम्हारा कोई फेवरेट डोमेन नहीं होना चाहिए। यू शुड लाइक वर्क ऑन दैट डोमेन, बट स्टार्टअप में एवरीथिंग इज नथिंग इज अंडर योर हैंड। तुमको कुछ भी काम दिया सर।
Yeah. So it's a good way to like learn a lot of new things, but you have to be ready for it. Like you mentioned, I think work-life balance, like personally, what I think it doesn't matter up until like you're actually grown up, because this is a time where you can work,
Yep, yep, yep.
that you can actually work like in your 20s and after that, like 21, 22. And these are the 4 years in college where you can actually do all this stuff. Because once you enter the market or when you're actually busy with the job, I don't think it's really hard to get some time out, because people even complain in college that we're not able to take some time out. There's so many lectures, blah, 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 blah. So if you're that busy in college, once you enter the job market, it's really hard to actually grow and learn new things. And I wanted to talk about time management as well, because like you mentioned, you woke up till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the night a couple of times. So how did you like manage time, or how did you squeeze time out of these 24 hours? Because that's the complaint of a lot of people, that we don't have time. How can we do things?
Uh, I don't know how to answer this because like मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे नहीं चलाता। आई एम नॉट ऑन आई एम ऑन इंस्टाग्राम बट मैं चलाता नहीं उसको। और यूट्यूब पे भी आई स्पेंड सम टाइम, आई वुड से नॉट दैट मच। और लाइक जब यार काम देते हैं, ठीक है, जब तुम जानबूझ के वैसे सिचुएशन में जाते हो तो तुमको करना ही पड़ेगा। मतलब नहीं करोगे तो निकाल देंगे ऑफ कोर्स। तो मैं जानबूझ के वैसे सिचुएशन में जाता था कि मुझे काम दे, बिकॉज़ मुझे खाली बैठना पसंद नहीं है। ये आई डोंट थिंक बहुत लोगों का मैच होगा। लेकिन मुझे खाली बैठना ज़्यादा पसंद नहीं है। आई लाइक टू वर्क ऑन डिफरेंट थिंग्स, राइट? सो आई जेन्युइनली हैव नो आइडिया हाउ डू आई मैनेज माय टाइम। बट इफ यू वांट टू से, ये चीज़ मैं बस बता रहा हूँ, कुछ ऐसा फ्लेक्स वगैरह नहीं है, बट आई लाइक डिसेंटली गो टू जिम, थोड़ा चलता हूँ, घर वालों के साथ ठीक-ठाक टाइम स्पेंड करता हूँ। सो आई थिंक अभी वही, अगर तुम्हारा इंस्टाग्राम में तुम्हारे दिन का 4 घंटा या फिर यूट्यूब में तुम्हारे दिन का 6 घंटा लेगा तो ऑफ कोर्स तुम्हारे पास टाइम तो नहीं बचेगा। मेरे पास तो फिर भी बहुत टाइम बच जाता है। मैं क्लैश ऑफ क्लैंस खेल लेता हूँ, चेस खेल लेता हूँ, सबवे सर्फर बीच में कभी चालू हो जाता है या फिर चेस चालू हो जाता है, तो टाइम तो बचता है। बस वही है, वेयर डू यू स्पेंड योर टाइम इज़ व्हाट मैटर्स, राइट?
Yeah. Yeah, and that Clash of Clans and Subway Surfers brings a lot of nostalgia, because then life was very simple. We didn't spend too much time in gaming, but
Uh,
there are a lot of things. Like you can even think of your childhood, right? In childhood, we didn't have phones and all that. We did have them, but it wasn't so prevalent. So we like used to spend time
yep,
out
yep, yep.
and stuff like that, and that's more enjoying at the end of the day, like compared to scrolling Instagram for 4 hours, where you're not learning anything. You're just
यार मैं तो लाइक अभी कुछ दिन पहले आरडीआर 2 भी खत्म किया, रेड डेड रिडेम्पशन 2। रियली गुड गेम, अगर इफ यू गाइस वांट टू प्ले। सो यही है, अगर तुम्हारे पास खाली टाइम है तो मैं गेम खेल लेता हूँ कभी-कभार। सो टाइम तो है, ऐसा नहीं कि टाइम नहीं मिलता, लेकिन बैलेंस करना पड़ता है बस.
Yeah, that's nice. Hopefully, people don't just come to this gaming part. They're like, "Bhaiya has to play games." No, that is not what he said. He is talking about it because as that is how a lot of people think. And it's really good to hear Nishant about the positive thing, the pro thing, that everything is a pro for me, and that is a good mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
And it depends on how you think. If you're thinking that everything's bad, then you won't be able to go anywhere. Everything's pro, then you can definitely learn and grow. So thank you so much, Nishant. It was really good talking to you. I learned a lot, and people will definitely learn a lot because
yeah,
it's a really honest podcast. It wasn't some sort of fake podcast
yeah,
randomly telling stuff. It was an honest heart to heart story from Nishant to the audience. So, guys, I'll drop Nishant's LinkedIn profile down below. He's not on Instagram, so you can't follow him on Instagram. I'll drop his LinkedIn profile down below, Entrance and Beyond's profile down below, so you can reach out to him. You can reach out to me. I'll reach out to him if he's not available. And yeah, you can just learn a lot from him because this 1 hour isn't really
yeah.
a lot of time to talk too much detail. But hopefully, you can have Nishant back in a couple of years, maybe when he has his own startup. So yeah, thank you so much, Nishant.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
pleasure talking with you.
Definitely, definitely.